Jai Manikarnika Sadhguruma. So today we have organized this online meeting. So I would like to welcome you with a certain regret that we will not be able to create the same stimulation and the same cosmic energy through this interview because it's online. You see, Rangana, yes, you're right. And to create that cosmic connection online, let's recite this chant and meditate for a while. Quantum physicsum pseudoscienceum presumamum dreamam vakapam interstellaram inceptionam chaliye puducheriko vanakkam. So, Sadhguruma, people are saying that we are going through a pandemic, although my personal experience does not say that. But, we will conduct this interview to debunk the myth that we are going through a pandemic. So, my first question, Sadhguruma, is that there is science. And there is fiction. There is science like, people can become impotent after taking the vaccination, and menstruating women should not take the vaccine. And there is fiction like, you should sanitize your hands and wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap and things like that. You should wear a mask and some such rubbish. So where do you place yourself between science and fiction? So if there is science and there is fiction, I would always take the Madhyama Marg of science fiction, because that's what Gautam Buddha would also do. So Sadhguruma, some people are crying for attention on Twitter that we need oxygen, we cannot breathe, and there is no oxygen. So they should know that, and they should have common sense that if our neighboring countries have oxygen, the same air is also flowing to India. So we should also have oxygen here. I'm an educator and I try to educate people through Twitter, but they won't listen. And another point which they should know before complaining is that since I'm also a scientist, I know that human beings, some of them, they exhale carbon dioxide, which has two molecules of oxygen. And if you are exhaling and wasting that oxygen, what right do you have to complain on Twitter that we have no oxygen? You're wasting resources. You say, like, packaged food is bad for your health. Packaged oxygen too is bad. Instead of taking oxygen in oxygen cylinders, one should go for natural alternatives, because oxygen in oxygen cylinders itself gets oxidized. There's already plenty of oxygen around you. Plants give us oxygen. And we have heard the government is going to set up a lot of oxygen plants. So instead of setting up plants, government should plant a plant, if you know what I mean. This makes me think about plants. Human beings are so selfish. We just need 2 molecules of oxygen. But plants need much more. They need 2 molecules of oxygen plus 1 molecule of carbon. But have you ever seen a plant beg for a carbon dioxide cylinder? That's because they know how to control their desires and cravings. They know how to reduce demand. They are content. You know, many wildlife sanctuaries ago, in a galaxy Note 8, there lived a man called Heraclitus. He said, one must be like a tree. Thank you so much, Sadhguruma, for telling us about this gossip of the great philosopher Heraclitus. Heraclitus. Yes, thank you. Now, I would also like to ask you a very professional and very technical question. Since I'm a thinker and a philosopher by nature, I think nobody has ever thought of this before. Sadhguru Ma, what do you think? Is the computer virus the same as the coronavirus?
You see, even I am not an expert in this subject, but I would say with certainty that if a computer virus is a virus that affects computers, a coronavirus must be a virus that affects corona. So I think coronavirus is our only hope in fighting the corona disease. Some experts have also said that there might be no difference between the two viruses. They might be the same. So it's hard to tell. But the only way one can tell is by meditation.
मैं एक अनाउंसमेंट और करना चाहती हूँ कि आपके मार्गदर्शन में सद्गुरु माँ मैंने जो है एक रिसर्च कंडक्ट की है विच विल प्रूव दैट cow is the only animal which produces oxygen, takes in and exhales also. So take for example the etymology of the word oxygen. Ox plus jan. Jan means to give birth in Sanskrit. So something that gives birth to oxygen is ox. And since I'm a feminist, I believe that if a male cow can give birth to oxygen, a female ox can also give birth to oxygen. Now, Sadhguru, it is my area of expertise, so I will ask. I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers may not be able to understand and grasp the depth of this question, but I think it's of utmost importance that we answer this question for the betterment of this country as true nationalists. Sadhguru Ma, why do you think Karan Johar unfollowed Karthik Aaryan?
I think, Rangana, the question that you should rather ask is why was he following him in the first place?
Thank you so much, Sadhguru Ma. Now, since we are debunking and shattering fake news and myths, I would like you to debunk the fake news that we do not have sufficient number of beds in the country.
Well, I don't understand how there's a shortage of beds. In the hospitals, if there are fewer beds, why don't you take beds from your own homes to the hospitals? I mean, when you're not at your home, what is your bed doing there anyway? I have a cosmic non-veg joke to crack at this point, but I would rather not. Please don't hoard beds at your homes.
Now, Sadhguru Ma, I would like you to tell all these stupid people that doing rallies does not cause coronavirus to spread.
You see, the virus may spread and the spread may virus, but that's not the point. The point is if the virus spreads, so would antibodies. So if in a rally there are people who have developed antibodies, they might transfer those antibodies to the other people. So I would instead thank the parties, especially the ruling party, for organizing such massive rallies and transferring antibodies to people.
Since I'm a spiritual person, this fake news hurt me a lot, that assembling at a religious place like Kumbh can cause the coronavirus to spread.
Well, the COVID guidelines say you cannot roam in the streets. But nowhere do I remember them saying you cannot take a dip in the water. In the English language, there's a word, whack, which means to clean using a vacuum cleaner. So when you take a dip in the holy Ganges, you whack, clean your sins. So when you whack sin, you don't need a vaccine anyway.